is small next to the Queen Elizabeth II, one of the world's largest passenger ships. But don't let size fool you. A tugboat does a big job. Have you ever wondered how a tugboat does it? Wheels to turn, ropes to tie, whistles to blow. Pushing and pulling, coming and going. A tugboat is always there to help. Hi, I'm IQ Parrot, the beak that speaks, here to invite you along on an exciting journey on board the Tugboat Miriam. Our tugboat adventure begins before the sun is even up. The swirling water means the engines are already running on board the Tugboat Miriam. Tugboat Miriam always keeps her engines running 24 hours a day.
Easy way.
Heads up, Kevin. He's the deckhand taking in the rope as we head out. It is quiet and very peaceful this morning. The water may look calm, but I'd better be careful or my baseball cap will fly with the wind. First Mate Dave is driving the tugboat this morning. We're up on the bridge. That's where all the commands are given on board a tugboat. The first mate is in command, while the captain sleeps below.
I get a lot of satisfaction out of handling the boat and accomplishing whatever the job at hand is. Miriam 17.
Dave is talking to Miriam's headquarters and getting his orders for the day. Finding out what time the Queen Elizabeth II is arriving in New York Harbor. The Miriam is going to help dock the Queen. While some of my fine-feathered friends fly off in search of breakfast, let's fly back in time. This is New York Harbor, back in the 1920s. The very first tugboat was built in the 1800s. They were built to pull and push barges and to guide and dock larger ships. For over 100 years, ships in New York Harbor have passed under the watchful eye of our nation's symbol of freedom, the Statue of Liberty. Tugboats plow through the water with great power and are especially designed for their work. See how the front rides high? This helps the tug push ships. The bridge is usually the highest point on a tug, so the captain can see what's up ahead. Some even have flying bridges. Tugs have very powerful engines to pull barges many times their size. Barges don't have engines, so they need tugs to push and pull them. Tugs come in many different shapes and sizes for all kinds of jobs. I wonder what that is heading towards us. That stinks! It's a garbage barge. Okay, enough of watching other tugs at work. It's almost time for us to go to work. The Queen Elizabeth II is getting pretty close. It's going to take 3 tugboats working together to dock the huge ocean liner. Here come our sister tugs. Everyone is friendly. Teamwork is a very important part of working on a tugboat.
We all do help each other out, really. It's a little close-knit family, really, on a boat.
Things are definitely starting to hum because Captain Rich has taken over command from First Mate Dave. And that's Captain Jim up there with him. He's a docking pilot. We'll check out his job in a moment. All the tugs are getting in position to meet the Queen. I can feel the excitement on board the Miriam. And there she is! The Queen Elizabeth is so huge, she makes the people on board look like ants. The Queen is 966 feet long. That's as long as 3 football fields end to end. She weighs 67,000 tons. That's 500 times heavier than the Tugboat Miriam and heavier than a gazillion parrots. Captain Rich has to be very careful as we come alongside the Queen.
It can be dangerous. I just can't come, right into it. You have to use the engines, here's your 2 throttles to match the speed with the ship, and then you use your rudder to just ease your bow over or ease your stern up.
Almost there. And there's docking pilot Jim going off to work. Ahoy there! Are you ready to take pilot Jim on board? It's pretty tough trying to match speeds and not bang into the ship, but Captain Rich is a pro. There goes Jim. Looks like a balance beam act. Careful! Jim is now on board the Queen. His job is to coordinate the docking of the ship using the 3 tugboats. Now that's a real balancing act. Part of the Queen Elizabeth is 32 feet underwater. That's the size of a 3-story house. The docking pilot has to know about all the sandbars and sunken ships in New York Harbor, so he can guide the Queen around them to a safe docking. While we cruise alongside, let's do a little exploring on board the Miriam. Engineer Chuck is down below making some muffins in the galley, or what we landlubbers call a kitchen.
Well, we all cook. Yeah, I didn't cook. That's kind of my hobby. And we eat well here. So I help out the deckhands. A lot of times we're quite busy. So I give them a hand cooking.
This is Chuck's cabin. Pretty small, even for a parrot. All 5 crew members live on board 24 hours a day for 2 weeks at a time. Like firemen, the crew has always got to be ready to respond to a call for work. As the engineer of the Miriam, Chuck is responsible for the care of the tug's engines. A lot of the space below is taken up by these 2 powerful engines. They produce 3,300 horsepower. That's like driving 25 cars all at the same time. Sure sounds pretty noisy down here. And the constant throbbing and pounding of the engines calls for a lot of fuel. 57,000 gallons of diesel fuel to be exact. Enough to fill a very large swimming pool and a whole lot of bird baths. But Chuck can't maintain everything on the Miriam by himself. Sometimes the tug has to be taken out of the water for repairs. The tug is lifted up by what is like a giant elevator. Up goes the Miriam and away goes the water. That's why it's called a dry dock. See how large the Miriam's propellers are? They're turned by the engine, and that's how the tug is moved through the water. This work is being done to make sure everything is in good shape and nothing is damaged. Be careful, mister. Don't want my wings clipped. Chuck is always checking to make sure the engines are running smoothly and that the fuel lines are full. He keeps a record in the engineer's logbook. Let's head back to the galley and check out those muffins. delicious! Okay, time to get back on deck. We don't want to miss any action as we get ready to dock the Queen Elizabeth. The passengers on board the Queen are really excited too. Cheese! One of our sister tugs is sending a line up to the Queen. Deckhand Tony can explain.
It's the monkey fish. It's about a pound, I guess, it weighs. There's a nut inside of it. There's a way you hold it. You 3 or 4 wraps with this hand. I can throw this a long, long ways.
You got it.
This part is the part that goes up onto the ship. The eye goes up on the ship.
I get it. Do you get it? The circle on the end of the line is called an eye, like the eye of a needle. It's attached to the ship. And the other end of the rope gets tied to the Miriam in a special way.
Goes through here. Put over this part. Now, it's onto the ship, and we don't want it to slide off of here. So what I do is I take this line and wrap it, put it over the top, so that when it pulls, it won't pull this up like this. And that is secured down here. Now it can't ride up. Then we put 3 turns on this. 1 goes around. That's 1 whole turn. This is 2.
And that makes 3.
We always end with a round turn on the top. This is a round turn. Goes all the way around the top.
Tony, why another loop?
The back. That's in case they pull. It'll just come up to here and stop. You can't get off.
Cooperation and teamwork is the key to working on the Miriam.
I'm an extension of the captain. I have to know what he's kind of thinking for the next move and what we're going to do.
Thanks a lot, Tony. Our next move is about to happen. Captain Rich is carefully coming alongside the Queen. This is a very delicate maneuver and takes a lot of skill. If the captain uses too much power from Miriam's engines, the tug could make a hole in the Queen. And also do a lot of damage to the tugboat. Rubber tires are used to protect both the tug and the ship from getting big dents. They're called bumpers or fenders, like on a car. Not a bad use for recycled tires. Yow! It makes a lot of noise. Let's take a quick bird's eye view of where we are. That's us tucked under the front or bow of the Queen. So that's where Pilot Jim went. Way up on the Queen's Bridge. He's getting ready to give the commands for the docking. That whistle means it's time to get started. The Queen can't turn into the dock by itself. It's too big to maneuver in the space between the piers. It's up to Miriam and her 2 sister tugs to push and pull her from this position. Over here to Pier 90. Pilot Jim has to be aware of the currents, tide, and wind as he issues commands to the tugboats and talks to the captain of the Queen. He's like the conductor of an orchestra.
I can't see the dock, so I mean he's really totally in command. And
Miriam, a little stronger.
Stronger on the Miriam.
What do all those whistles mean, Captain Rich?
There's a different series of whistles for stopping, starting, dead slow, half ahead, full ahead. It's just, once he gives me the command, I can, perform the function with the tug and just blow the whistle signal, and he instantly knows I've received the command.
Miriam, ahead easy.
That means Captain Rich heard Pilot Jim loud and clear. I can feel the Miriam's engines working big time. Captain Rich still has to be very careful.
It's a very large ship, very heavy. And it's amazing to have to handle something so big, so large, and so delicate. It's a tremendous amount of damage. Just half a knot too fast, and we could really take out a good portion of the dock.
The two tugs are pushing the liner's stern, the back of the Queen, around, and the Miriam's propellers churn a saltwater milkshake. We can see they've gotten the Queen safely around and between the two piers, nudging it over to Pier 90. There, the signal. We have docked the Queen Elizabeth II. Let's go to an instant replay. The Miriam, the tug that did, is off to other work. But in 6 hours, we're going to have to come back because the Queen can't leave without the help of the Miriam. And next time, the Miriam will do the job all by herself. Lucky tugboats are small because we have to squeeze our way out of here. Let's fly back on board the Miriam and get some more facts about how a tug works.
Let the Miriam take your place. Okay.
There's a lot of equipment on board the Miriam to help the crew do their job and to find their way.
This is our compass.
The compass helps keep the Miriam going in the right direction. It always points north, but you can steer south, west, east, or north by reading maps and charting the proper direction. When it's dark out or the weather is bad, Captain Rich can use the radar to see what's around him. Good throw, Tony. Sometimes Tony uses hand signals to communicate with people on board the ships. They can see his hands. Easier than trying to hear his voice. Also, they might not speak English.
As we go alongside different places on the boat that we put the line, I have to be able to tell them where to put it. Occasionally, we have to push a ship in backwards. So that would be a case where I would tell the man that it has to go up on the nose of the ship.
Wonder if they understand wing signals too.
If we're going to go alongside of a ship and the ladder is too low, I have to tell them to take the ladder up.
The ladder is for Pilot Jim. He's always getting on and off ships. Too bad he doesn't have parrot power and could fly. What does Captain Jim like about his job?
You're actually doing something. You're moving goods, you're moving oil. People are getting all sorts of things from all over the world. A lot of people can feel good about it.
Deckhand Kevin is back while Tony catches a nap. Everyone on a tug has to stay alert.
Safety is the most important thing on deck. It's a very dangerous job. lines can break. If you're in the wrong position, you can be seriously hurt.
This is no joke. Look what happened when the Miriam was docking a big container ship. Now I see why we have to pay attention. No bird watching allowed. They don't just throw out broken ropes, they repair them. Not magically like this. How ropes get fixed is by splicing. Will you show us how, Kevin?
This line here has 3 parts to it. They're taped on the ends. Some lines are hard to open, and you would use a fid and put it through here. I'll show you how it's done. The technique of this is to go over one part of the standing line and under the next. And that's basically it. 4 tugs actually going up just about. That's your ice flux.
Thanks, Kevin. And now it's time for us to head back to the Queen Elizabeth. We've gotten word she has her passengers on board and is ready to get back to sea. When you're on the Miriam, you hear and see a lot of different things. Look, they're painting the Queen. Hear the orchestra playing for the passengers on board? See that tugboat backing out this big fuel barge? The barge is riding high in the water after filling up the Queen for her journey across the Atlantic. Looks like everything is shipshape and ready to go. We're moving towards the Queen's bow. Here comes the line. Heads up! Kevin sends the tugs line up. Everything happens very quickly, for the Queen's in a hurry to get underway. The Queen is free, and now it's totally up to the Miriam to push her out. See that puff of smoke? That's the Miriam revving up its engines, like taking a deep breath, ready to do a heavy lifting job to pull and push the enormous ocean liner away from Pier 90. The Miriam moves around to the other side of the bow and gets in a position to push with all her might. The Queen bids farewell to New York City and all those on land. Here we go. Full speed ahead. Hear that whoa? It feels like being on a horse at the starting gate. Except we have 3,300 horses, all going at the same time. That was intense, but the Miriam has done her job well. The Queen is now heading out to sea under her own power, but we're not done yet. We have to pick up Pilot Jim. No European vacation for him. So we slide back alongside the ocean liner, matching our speed once again. I spy the open door. Now First Mate Dave, who is driving, very carefully brings the Miriam alongside the Queen. Wonder if anyone's watching this fancy tug work. Here comes Jim, safe and sound. The Miriam and the Queen are saying goodbye. Let's listen. First the Miriam. Have a safe trip. And a big thank you to the Miriam and her crew for helping get the Queen underway. Bon voyage! Bon voyage! The Queen is off across the Atlantic Ocean, destination Europe. And the Miriam is off to another job. Goodbye, Engineer Chuck and Captain Rich. Goodbye, deckhands Tony and Kevin. Goodbye, First Mate Dave and Pilot Jim. And goodbye, Tugboat Miriam. Thanks for letting us take a tugboat journey. Time for me to fly. This is IQ Parrot. See you next time.